Great. Well, okay, Reiko, I think we can formally get started. So,
Okay.
I'm gonna start off our conversation by introducing myself, and I'm Gloria Kumagai, a board member of the Twin Cities Japanese American Citizens League, which is known as TCJACL. And with me today is Reiko Ho, who is the creator of the Carp Who Would Not Quit and Other Animal Stories, which is coming to Children's Theater in Minneapolis this month. We're super excited about it. We're thrilled that you're able to join us this morning, Rachel, for this conversation. And I could probably do a real formal introduction, but I think it'd be more meaningful if you introduced yourself and shared some highlights of your journey.
Yes, absolutely. Mahalo, everyone, for having me on this conversation. I'm so delighted. My name is Reiko Ho, and I'm the Associate Artistic Director of Honolulu Theatre for Youth. And I'm a creator and playwright and theater maker. I am yonsei. I am of Japanese descent, fourth generation born and raised in Hawaii. And my family came out. My great grandmother was a picture bride who came out to work on the plantations with my great grandfather. And that is my family history in Hawaii. So I've been in Hawaii for a very long time. I'm often creating content where content doesn't exist, especially for young audiences. And this play is an example of that. I started writing this play actually the year of the pandemic. So we actually started creating The Carp Who Would Not Quit. And it is a collection of Japanese folk tales and animal tales. We started creating it for the very youngest audience members, preschoolers and kindergarteners in Hawaii in 2020 January. So we had just finished rehearsing, and the show was about to go up, and we were going to go on a statewide tour of Hawaii, and it got canceled because everything shut down. So we were not able to tour this show. And the show is based on some of my own favorite childhood stories. And I mentioned my great grandmother because I have a I'm very we lived all together when I was a small child. So in my house there were three generations of women, Japanese women, and a great I feel it's a great honor to be Japanese. And so this is my way of celebrating our cultural stories and sharing them with the very youngest audience members.
Okay, so as a yonsei, which is fourth generation, born and raised in Hawaii, what inspired you to create this special piece of theater?
Um, so memories of my own childhood and bon dance and many of the Japanese traditions that I loved participating in are also part of this story, all the collection of stories. For example, there you'll see Bon Odori inspired movement. There is also there's like Bon lanterns hanging as part of our little set. There's also a butterfly that flies between the stories to connect them. And for me, that's my grandmother flying and connecting the stories. Her spirit is flying through the stories and connecting them to us and to you. And then the stories themselves are some of them you'll probably know. There are fairly well known, but not dramatized in America, Japanese folk tales. And there's some of them have a tiny little twist, but I really wanted to engage the audience in culture as well as the stories themselves and to tell the stories. So the audience, it's interactive. The audience gets to call out, like in the carp story, they are taught to call out gambate with the carp as it swims upstream. So it's just a delight to hear, 300 children in the audience shouting gambate to the carp as they swim. And then they get to sing and dance a little bit in their chairs with the cast. There's a little bit of kabuki inspired movement. There are a lot of Japanese cultural traditions that are embedded into the show, which people might not realize, but it makes the show feel very Japanese. And it is a celebration of our culture. So that is the purpose and inspiration that I had while creating this particular piece.
Thank you. Now, I know that I've read on your when I was researching you, I know that you have indicated that every culture has stories. And so is there something unique about Japanese and Okinawan folk tales that sets them apart? Because I believe they impacted um, the creation of the carp play.
One of the beautiful things about Japanese and Okinawan folk tales is that many of the tales are meant to teach important lessons. That is one of the methods of teaching. So, lessons of kindness and perseverance and gratitude. And that is part of the show as well. It is about imparting some of the most valuable traits that we have, we find valuable, right, as Japanese people are in the show as well.
Okay, and how does this play stand out from your other theatrical experiences?
Um, it's unprecedented for me to have a show that is my own show that is traveling to the continent and being seen by so many people. And it tells me that people are hungry for cultural stories and learning about different cultures. Um, and really, it was made as a little preschool show for Hawai'i children, and it has evolved throughout, and it was a happenstance of the pandemic. It was because we got canceled, so we made a digital production of it that got seen by other people and people on the continent. And then we got agents, and then they sold the show, or the show was, they found it so interesting. They came out to watch a version of the show, and then the show evolved. So for me, it's been actually a 3-year journey with the show going on. This will be the, fourth year with the show, and its evolution, watching it go from a small preschool show that was going to tour to a digital production and then evolve into a fully staged production of the piece. So, and it's personal. It's actually of my culture. So I feel a personal connection to the piece. It's part of me and my family. And then also it's just it's traveled. It got to be viewed in 14 venues in the fall across the continent. And now we'll finish our tour in Minneapolis at Children's Theater Company, which we're so honored to do.
And we're so excited to see it. Um, so you mentioned about this, Japanese theatrical elements that are embedded in this play. And can you talk more about that? Because I know when I looked at the synopsis of the different folk tales, like mochi is in there, and isn't there a
Yeah.
dance or so, yeah. So I'm just wondering if you could
Yes.
share with us the other kinds of Japanese theater elements that we will see.
Well, I also love music, so it was important for me to have live music. And also when you're developing pieces for very young audiences, I feel that there's lots of different languages that make them feel things, including the music as a language. So I like to use movement, music as sort of nonverbal languages of communication during the show. So we have a live taiko, koto, and shakuhachi being played on stage. The music is based on traditional music, but we devised all the music for the show. So you're going to hear all original music, but you hear these beautiful instruments, first of all. So there's music that accentuates the show and sometimes speaks for the characters. And then there's a little bit of kabuki inspired movement. There are koken on stage that move the different puppets. We have in full view or move objects and props. That some of us will know that tradition, but it will be sort of embedded for the school children to see. What else is there? Oh, all the stories. I tried to pull some kind of a like cultural element from the story. So the Usagi story is about the rabbits pounding mochi in the moon. So we made a mochi song based that is loosely like based and inspired by some children's songs and hand clapping games. We use that as sort of our base to create a new song about pounding mochi. And there's a weaving song that the crane girl sings, and that is based on rural weaving work songs from rural mountain areas. So, and then the Shisa story, which is our Okinawan story, is based on the Shishimai. So it's based on the Okinawan lion dance.
It sounds like it's a jam-packed production. And can you also share with us, like, because you're bringing, there's like six, aren't there like six people, cast
Oh,
and,
three.
oh, three, okay,
There's
three
three.
pe
There's three that
cast,
feel like six.
okay, three cast members that are coming with you, and can you share about them?
Yes. Yes, so they are all professional actors, resident performers with our company. One of them specializes in music and is our musician, but also acts as different characters in the show. Matea Mazzella and Serena Dunham is she is actually from Nara, so she is from Japan, but has resided in Hawaii for the last like 10 years. She went to college in Hawaii and then stayed basically. And then Junior Tesoro is a veteran of Honolulu Theatre for Youth. This is his 29th season with the company. And we are all Asian. Matea, Serena, and I are all Japanese or mixed Japanese. And Junior is of Filipino descent.
Hmm. And do you think that you created this play differently because it originated in Hawaii instead of Japan or on the mainland?
Oh, yes. Yes, it was specifically made for originally made for Hawaii children. And so it has evolved so to include I felt an audience on the continent as well. So we teach Japanese words and the audience will learn different Japanese phrases and words throughout the show, like the names of the animals. And they get to call that out as well. And there's like a teeny little bit about like mochi pounding that we added, um, for an audience that might not know what that is. Where in Hawaii, because there are many Japanese Americans in Hawaii, most people know what mochi is. It's part of the culture.
I have some in my refrigerator.
Yeah, good. Happy New Year.
But, but we made it with the mochi machine. Okay, what are some of the central themes or messages that your play presents?
Every piece has a little bit of a lesson. So, for example, in the Carp story, in the Koi story, it is perseverance, kindness, gratitude, bravery. In the Shisa story, believing in yourself is part of the Mouse Match story, which is skewed a little bit as a girl power story. So I think that's the one that I've adapted the most personally. Um, and then also that I tell these stories with joy and aloha, and I hope that the audience takes that away. So they really are, it's a celebration, and I hope that they feel that when they leave the theater.
Okay, so do you think there are particular aspects of the stories that will resonate strongly with the Twin Cities audience?
I hope so. I hope that joy, aloha, celebration of culture, those are all universal things. And the stories and their lessons are also universal. And the animals are lovable and fun, and the actors are charming and delightful. So I think that everyone will enjoy, watching them bring these stories to life, and how the ensemble works together to bring the stories to life. and how it's been directed. So I think everybody will enjoy it. It's meant to be happy and joyful.
And then it sounds like there's a lot of audience interaction with the cast
Hmm.
throughout the play. So kind of a teaching play too as well.
A little bit, I guess, yes. So, and in more of a way that we want to invite them into Japanese culture. It's not meant to be, they hear the words and they have no idea what the heck is going on. We
Mhm.
throw out some Japanese phrases. It's meant to be very inclusive and an invitation into culture, which I feel helps grow empathy in young audiences.
Well, great. And how do you think the audience is going to feel or be impacted after experiencing the carp who would not quit and other animal stories?
Well, I hope they feel invited into Japanese culture. I hope they go home and eat mochi. I hope they go home and the kids have discussions about culture with their families and not just Japanese culture, but I hope it's a doorway into speaking about different cultures and creating conversations around that because I feel very strongly that children should be part of every conversation, especially about culture and race.
Okay, and how did Minneapolis get selected for being part of the tour?
We did not select them. They selected us, and the artistic director of CTC, Peter Brocious, does have some connection with H2I, and he flew out a year and a half ago a year and a half ago to see a showcase of some other work that we were doing that we were thinking of national touring. We haven't done very much of this kind of long national touring. So this is also a new chapter for us. And we happened to have Carp. We happened to show Carp um, as a piece as part of that showcase, but it and he happened to see it and liked it. So that's how we got into the season. And during the pandemic, because of our digital work, we started doing a television show in Hawaii, which we actually have won 3 Emmy Awards for our local NBC affiliate. And and anyway, Peter saw some of this digital work as well, and this digital work led us to have agents, and the agents also helped us to get these other venues that we toured earlier this fall. But Peter, we love Peter, and he was briefly the artistic director at Honolulu Theatre for Youth many years ago, before he was at CTC. And
Oh,
so
okay.
we're just thrilled to be part of this season. It is his last season with CTC. He is leaving the company. And so we're just thrilled and honored to be part of his last season.
Great. Okay, and then as the production embarks on a national tour, what excites you most about bringing your play to Minneapolis in Minnesota, which is cold?
Well, we're going to bring a little bit of our Hawaii warmth with us. And so we hope that we make your winter a little warmer and happier.
Okay, and um, what are the unique challenges or opportunities associated with taking the production to Minneapolis?
Well, it is a dream come true. CTC is the largest children's theater company in the nation. So for me, this is a dream come true. This is a huge opportunity. I'm honored and thrilled. And I can't believe it happened out of like the pandemic. Um, and to a little show that I felt was just kind of a personal show about some of my favorite childhood stories. And I just, I'm be over the moon coming to CTC and visiting um, and what an opportunity for our work, from Hawaii to be seen by the continent because often we're very isolated in Hawaii.
Mhm. Okay, and then do you or will you have the opportunity to engage with the local Japanese American community while you're in town? You're in town for like 5 weeks, right?
I am. I'm with the show. I will also be, working on the show, while it's going on. So I'm helping manage the show while it's going on, as well as being here as the director and playwright. Um, yes, I hope so. And in fact, I know that the theater has planned a couple of, I think, after show events with some. I'm sorry, I can't remember which groups, but there are a couple of Japanese community groups that are coming, and we're going to do a talk back, I think, during one of the shows for them. And I would love to see the Japanese community and all the Asian community actually in, while I'm in residence in Minneapolis.
Yeah, and I know you had indicated before the interview that you were interested in connecting with Theater Move, which is,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yes.
which is great. Okay, well, that is that those are my questions that I'm done asking you, and there is the opportunity for any audience members if they want to ask any questions, they can post it in the Q&A, and I can check that because Reiko said that she will answer or respond to questions um, from the audience. Meanwhile, I'll just mention that there is a comprehensive audience guide on the Children's Theater website. So, you can get further information about Reiko and the ensemble group she's bringing, the Honolulu Theater for youth, and also explanations of the different Japanese theatrical elements that are going to be presented or woven into the play. And it's a great time span that you're here because that affords a lot of opportunity for people to be able to schedule in seeing the Carp Who Would Not Quit and other animal stories.
I hope you all come. Please come. Come to see the show.
Oh, I'm sure we will. And we're also going to do an article in our upcoming January TCJ Cell newsletter, which is called the Rice Paper.
Oh, how fun. Great.
Okay, we just had one Q&A. It's basically a request to mail JACL dates of shows with talk back after play. So I can connect with Jonathan on that, Reiko, and get that out.
Great.
Okay. Well, do you have any last concluding remarks you'd like to make? I know it's early in the morning. You're so peppy, and I really appreciate that.
No, I just look forward to meeting as many people as I can while I'm in town. So please stop by the theater or connect. Gloria has my email if any of you want to connect with me. I would love to meet the community while I'm in town. And thank you so very much for this opportunity to talk to you all.
And thank you for being able to, set aside time in your very busy, hectic schedule to have this conversation, Reiko. We really appreciate it. And we are so excited. Again, I want to say we're so excited that you and the Honolulu Play Group and, bringing this play, the Carp Who Would Not Quit and Other Animal Stories to Children's Theater. It's a real treat for us. So thank
Really?
you.
Is it?
Oh, yeah.
That makes me actually feel really, really good. I because sometimes I don't know, on this national tour, I'm like, I don't know. I hope they enjoy it. But that makes me thrilled that you're really excited.
Well, and the other thing is, we don't have a lot of plays or live theater for children. You know, it's we do have Asian American theater here and we have Asian American plays, but they're usually geared toward the adult audience. And
Mhm.
you know, I really you know, when I was now that I have grandchildren, I really feel that void because you can't be what you can't see. And so this is just a huge opportunity for you know, parents regardless of whether they're Asian or not, to bring them to live theater. That's huge here, I think.
Absolutely. You know, representation is ever more important, right? And actually, a lot of the times, like when I'm creating content like this, it's because there's no content that exists. And we would like to see Asians on stage, right? And we would like to see
Mhm.
ourselves represented on stage. And for kids, that's so important.
Hmm.
Yeah, one of my favorite things actually has been every now and then the cast will report to me as they were out on the continent. I just remembered this as they were out on the continent. They would send me performance reports because I didn't go with them in the fall, and they would say there were two Japanese boys that came up to us at the end of the show and thanked us, and we felt so good. You know, so I think even if one kid feels seen in the audience, it's my job is done. I did it. And I also think that healing can happen, especially around race. Healing can happen and growth can happen when things are presented with joy and celebration and aloha, right? I think that we can bridge a lot of difficult gaps if we do it with love. So this show is so I'm hoping that makes me I'm delighted. And I just saw Karen's Q&A, which addresses race and racism and division. And I'm this is part of this show. It is about representation on stage.
And so thanks again, Reiko, for being able to do this for us.
Yeah, it is absolutely my pleasure. I'm so excited.
And we are too. We are too. So, and thank you for viewers who view this webinar. It's also going to be posted on YouTube, and Vinny will be sending out information on that. So again, Reiko, many, many thanks. I'm looking forward to being able to meet you in person when you are in town, and I'll make sure that you're connected to Theater Move.
Thank you so much. Aloha, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
You too, and safe travel.